officially gotten into Eurorack. It all started with my subharmonicon. I got that and really got into it and just started digging in with all the modular aspects of it, the semi-modular, the patch points and everything. And then I got a DFAM, and those just sounded so good together, but it was still a little bit limiting without a delay. Once I added a delay to it, those two just came alive. And what happened was I bought a Lyra 8 by Soma Labs, which is a super cool synth that has built-in delay, and it's got delay modulation too, and it has built-in distortion, really nice distortion with a wet dry knob. I plugged my DFAM and subharmonicon into my Lyra 8 and used it just as a delay, and it really came alive. I have a million ideas with that stuff. With just those three things, it just goes forever. It's amazing. I love it. But I was selling more gear to fund new things. I sold my Micro Freak. I sold my Juno 6. So I decided to start a Eurorack system. I finished off my DFAM subharmonicon rack by getting the 3-tier version and putting 60 HP of Eurorack in there. At the same time, because I had sold my Juno 6, I had enough money to actually make an entire new case. So I also made what I thought was going to be an 84 HP case, but it turned out to be 94 HP. I've just been having so much fun with it. Eurorack is so incredibly addictive. I just keep finding these new ways to jam. And normally, I've always been a player. I love to play. I was a guitar player before I really got into synths, and I always loved to jam. And I really wanted a way of accompanying myself better. So what my goal for my new modular case was going to be was I wanted something that could accompany as I played jazz piano. This turned out to be a really tall order because jazz is complicated, and I wanted to have some kind of like MIDI implementation and maybe an arpeggiator with some kind of randomness going on, so I could hit a chord and get one random note out of it sometimes that just bing plays and sort of accompanies me and also has drums. But I quickly realized that that was not going to happen in 94 HP or 84 HP, which was what I thought I had at the time. I realized that wasn't going to happen, and I also realized that the drums and the grooves, the things that I was getting out of my modular as my modules were coming in and I was slowly building it, I just realized that the grooves weren't very jazzy. Like they just, it wasn't sounding that great for jazz. What I actually am doing much more successfully now is I just use the iReal Pro app for as like a real book on my phone, and that has a little backing track on it. So I'll plug that into my electric piano, and then I'll plug my electric piano into my modular. So everything is running through all of this circuitry, and that actually sounds really cool. It sounds really good because I'm doing a few things with the modular, and basically what my goal with this system was to just get a really nice character filter and just slam it. Just hit it so hard that mixing will be easier, and I could also do things like hit the filter with some noise and get a little bit of like vinyl crackle kind of sound to it. And I really wanted to get a Strymon Magneto because the wow and flutter on it and the crinkle just sound really, really nice. And I just wanted to combine those elements and kind of use it as an effects box. But it kind of, like, as I was building it, it kind of took on a life of its own and started turning into this really cool Groovebox. That partially has to do with this module that I have called Monsoon, which is a clouds clone. And basically what I do with that is I sample in I play like 8 seconds of nice little piano, and then I can kind of remix it using an LFO, and just moving around through that little clip, kind of like a granular synth. And so far, I've been really, really happy with the way that my jam sessions have been turning out with this thing. It's so much fun. I feel like I have plenty of melodic variety and rhythmic variety. And I'm using the Korg SQ1 sequencer for drums. And I love that. It's extremely similar to the DFAM sequencer, so I just feel really comfortable with it. And I've also used it a lot with my MS-20, so it's a familiar thing for me. But building this system, I definitely took some missteps. The first misstep that I took was overestimating the value of a really dirty VCA. I bought this VCA called the Gristalizer VCA. It was like a Gristalizer modulator, and it was a VCA it's a VCA that has distortion on it, and it's got a lot of character. It sounds really cool for certain things like hi-hats, but I really wanted something that would bump up the character of my bass drum. And for a bass drum, a distorted VCA is not what you want, but it really sounded great for a hi-hat. I ended up taking it back though, because it just wasn't right for me. I didn't want to spend that much HP on my hi-hats. I'm actually not using any HP really for a hi-hats. I've got a 2 HP VCA and a 2 HP envelope generator that I use in conjunction with the noise output from my Erica black modulator. And that's how I make my hi-hats. So the Gristalizer was way too much HP for not really what I was looking for. So I ended up taking that back. Another misstep I took was in my mixer. I got a 2 HP mixer, great mixer, but it just didn't have enough volume to really hammer the filter, which is the filter I ended up going with was the Polyvox filter from Erica Synths. And I just love that thing. It overdrives so nicely. I'm using the Erica black mixer, which is stereo, and I'm only using it in mono for now because I'm putting everything through my filter. But it helps because it has a 6 dB boost for 2 of the channels. So I can just slam that filter with a ton of volume, and it really bumps up the character. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about the journey into Eurorack a little bit because it's really been quite the adventure. I spend so much time on modular grid now, and it's been a lot of fun. I'm super excited about it.